Hello, welcome to Trickle Down Geekonomics. I'm Jim, and today we're going to start a new playthrough of Sine Tempore. Now, I've already completed the first narrative mission, A Warm Welcome, and in doing so, we were able to get each one of our heroes an experience point, and it allows us to do exploration missions into the blue regions of the map. So, before we do that, though, we have to go back to our mothership, Genesis, and take a look at that, and that's called the colony phase, and we're going to take a look at that next. So now we're going to begin the colony phase. We're back on the Genesis. We've completed our first mission, and each hero attained one experience point. And one of the things you can do on the Genesis is spend those experience points to gain new skills. You can also use elements that you acquired and spend those to activate various sectors on the ship. For example, none of our heroes were hurt, but if they would have got a severe wound, they could have gone to the infirmary, and then they could have discarded one serious wound. Fortunately, that didn't happen. The other things you can do, there's things like the laboratory where you can convert elements to make one element of your choice. You can go to the warehouse to store elements, workshop to upgrade your weapons and equipment and that kind of thing. But we don't have any elements. During the first mission, we didn't acquire any. But now when we do the exploration missions, depending on where we go, we can acquire certain elements which we can bring back, and then we can use those to activate different parts of the ship, as well as even improve different sectors and make them better to get more benefits from those rooms. But all we really have access to now would be to spend our experience points and buff up our heroes with a new skill. So let's do that. Okay, so here's all our heroes, and we've got their skill trees out. And looking at those, we can spend one experience point on a skill. Here we are, we've got our 4 heroes out here and their data pads, and we have their skill data pads. And you can see each skill data pad has 2 specializations. For example, Ahab, we'll start with him. He's got leadership and attack. Now, it's just to kind of give you a sense of what kind of skills apply to that skill tree on that side. So, of course, these are going to be more aggressive. These are leadership, would give buffs and extra movements and things like that to your heroes. So I'm going to go more attack with Ahab, and I'm going to go ahead and go with charge, which is this right here. So if you flip the skill data pad over, it gives an explanation of every one of the skills that's on his skill data pad. So you can see right here is charge. It costs 1 experience point. And it allows the hero to move up to 4 squares and perform a basic attack. And he has to move, when he moves those 4 squares, he has to come in contact with an enemy to be able to use it. If they're too far away, he can't use that ability. It does cost a lot of AP. It costs 5 action points to do. So we're going to spend an action point on that, and we're going to slot it in onto his board. We'll put it right here. So now he has charge. Now Alexandra, our medic, I want to make her even a little bit more healy. I want her to be able to keep our heroes in the fight. So she can already roll 3 dice, possibly heal up to 3 wounds using 2 AP. There's a particular skill that she has right here called First Aid. It's still 2 action points, but now she rolls 5 dice. So she could potentially heal 5 wounds. Actually, all our heroes, except for Ulysses, has 6, but they only have 5 health. So if they're close to getting knocked out, she could bring them right back into the fight. So we're going to go with that. We'll put that slotted in on her board. She's ready to go. Next, we have Eucus, our psionic, and his 2 skill specializations are ESP and Fury. And Fury sounds great. So we're going to focus on those skill trees over there. And we're going to go with an attack ability called Mind Lash, which is here. Energy Lash. And this is a great ability, allows him to reach out with his mind and make an attack. So it's 3 AP, and you test against your mind, and you have to get mind or push icons on your die for it to be able to succeed in the test. And if you do, it does 3 damage. It has a range of 1 to 4, but you do have to take 2 Oblivion tokens, and we'll talk about that when we actually get into the fight. So we're going to go ahead and spend that experience point on him to get Energy Lash. So we'll slot that in. And then our next hero is Ulysses. So Ulysses has defense and war machine. So again, more of a defensive track, or you can go more aggressive. And with him, wasn't quite sure what to do, but I think we're going to go more aggressive again. And we've got a good healer with Alexander. I think the rest of our heroes are going to be more aggressive. So we're going to take Warsmith. Now, Warsmith allows him, during the token phase, to decide whether or not he wants to gain +1 physical or +1 precision to their attacks. So it just gives him some variability depending on what kind of attack he's going to do. He can buff that with another die, and that can be very beneficial. So we're going to go ahead and slot that in for 1 experience point. And there he is with Warsmith. So now all our heroes have their skills improved. We've spent all our experience points. We don't have anything left to do on the Genesis. So now we have to determine where we want to go to complete our next exploration mission. Here you can see the map of Primavis 5. And in the middle there you can see the landing zone, which is where we did the narrative mission, A Warm Welcome. After completing that, that opened up and gave us access to the blue regions on the map, which are connected to the landing zone. So we have the Rift, Neptune Lake, and the Heaven. And then each one has a different complement of elements available to us if we complete a mission in that area. So based on what we have here, I think we're going to go ahead and do the Heaven because we have 3 different elements that would be available to us. So here you can see the mission cards, and we have to pick randomly a mission that we're going to go ahead and do. And we only have access to the Defcon 4 missions right now. So there's Defcon 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have 3 Defcon 4 missions available. So we're going to shuffle those up and we're going to randomly pick one to do. So we have the bridge. In the bottom of the card, next to the name of the mission and the Defcon level, is the page in the campaign book where you'll find the mission explanation. So let's take a look. So at the top of the mission page, you'll see the title of the mission, the bridge. It's an exploration mission, Defcon 4, and you'll see the start mission time and the end mission time. And then you'll see the map and how you lay it out. And then next you'll see a mission briefing. Your exploration mission comes to a halt when all of a sudden you discover the path has come to a raised drawbridge, stopping you from continuing. You note that the enemy patrols have a particular remote control used to lower the bridges. You have no choice but to get one from them. So form a pool of 6 loot tokens. One of them must have a red back. Mix them and keep them aside. Position the bridge connector so that it is open. So we have to destroy both spawning points, and if all our heroes are defeated or we run out of time, we lose. And then the enemy's objectives attack the heroes. Now there's some special rules also in this mission. So each enemy in the setup, even if it's tiny, will drop a loot token if eliminated. These tokens must be chosen without looking at the back among those of the reserve created in the setup. When the token with the red back is collected, turn the bridge connector to the side that shows it's down. So there's enemy waves as well. So we have to perform an enemy draft when the momentum score is 5.4 for both spawning points. The enemy deck for these drafts is made up of all the enemies with troop and elite rank. Here's a momentum track, and you can see that we have troops on phase 8. We have an elite on phase 9 and a hero. 2 heroes on phase 10 and another hero on phase 11. Here we have the map that we're going to be doing our exploration mission on. we have 2 main map tiles and then the bridge tile. So on the far left map, we're going to have the 2 spawn points represented by the red circles, 2 mushrooms represented by the red plus signs, a rock represented by the red rectangle. And then on the far right map tile, you're going to see our 4 heroes clustered in the middle together, surrounded by 4 troop icons and 2 elite icons. Okay, we got our map tiles out. Now we need to populate it with enemies. So we got to randomly draw an enemy for each icon, troop and elite on the map. So here you see the troop cards. We have 4 troops: Spriggan, Frag Spriggan, Kid, and Suicide Kid. And we're going to randomly draw from the deck for each spot. And you can tell they're also, if you look here, the green icon in the corner of the card there, that represents that they're troops and it matches the icon on the map. So we'll shuffle these up and see what we get. So the first enemy we're going to have is Suicide Kid. So we're going to grab a Suicide Kid. And if you can see, I have the tan base ring on there to represent that the Suicide Kids, because if we get regular kids, they activate the same and all that, but they are separate units. So we have to designate which one's which. So we're going to put him on the board. Put him in the first spot there. And now we put that card back into the enemy deck. We don't leave him out. We put him back in. We could possibly get another one. So here we go. We'll pull another guy out and another Suicide Kid. So we'll get the similar colored base. So we have another ring on there and we've got another Suicide Kid, and we'll put him out right there. Put it back in the deck. We'll shuffle again. And we have a regular kid. So we'll put him out. Now again, since this is a regular kid, he will not have a colored base. So he looks different. We'll separate out on the board. We'll put him up right here. Shuffle him back in the deck. See what else we get here. And we got a Frag Spriggan. And again, since we are going to be spawning new creatures in, I do want to go ahead and designate these with a different color base, because we potentially could get regular Spriggans into the board. So we're going to put a color ring onto the regular, or to the Frag Spriggan. So we have a green base on all the Frag Spriggans if we get more. So we'll put him on the board. All right, so now we're done with the troops. Now we're going to pick the elites. And we also have 4 different elites we can get. So we have the Mower Reaper, the Mower, the Bloody Hunter, and the Hunter. And again, you can see here with the orange icon, which represents the orange icon on the map, which represents elites. So we'll shuffle those up. And we got a Mower Reaper. And again, they have, they're different than the regular mowers. So we're going to put a ring on them too to make them separate out. We'll put him over here in the corner. And we will shuffle these cards up again, putting the Mower Reaper back in. And I'm saying mower. I guess they mow you down, mower. Let's see what we get. And we got a regular Hunter. So we'll put that Hunter out on the board right over here in the corner. So we've got all our enemies on the board. We're going to put our heroes into the center of the board now. And doesn't look too good. With their backs all together, hoping to get out of this mess. So now we have to put the terrain on the board. Now again, if you look, the map shows that there's a red X, which represents a mushroom. And the book has a great little key to tell you what all the different icons mean. So you can see right there, oh, it's actually a bush, my mistake. So there's going to be two bushes. That's what that represents. So we're going to put those out. Got the two bushes out there. Now we're going to get the card that represents that, and we're going to set that out so we know what it does. So you can see here the bush provides light cover and it's considered rough terrain. So you can move through it, but it's going to cost you an extra AP to do it. And they have 5 health. And then you can see here, since this is already put on by the game, the placement doesn't apply because the mission itself dictates where it goes. And it says, it is possible to cross a square occupied by a bush, but it is not possible to end movement action on it. So it's just going to slow you down if you move through it and provide light cover. So we're going to put these cards out on the board. So now we have the mission dictated scenic element on the board, the 2 bushes. And we have to put, before we put the random ones, we also need to put our spawn points on the board. So let's get 2 red spawn points. And let's put those on the board right behind the bushes there. So we've got those out. And now we're going to do the random scenic elements. So what we do for those is we have a deck full of different scenic elements. We're going to shuffle that up. I'll show you me shuffling here so you believe me. Oops. And we're going to flip one over and we're going to see what we get. Mushroom. So a mushroom is a light obstacle. It's impassable, has 10 health. And the placement, now we have to follow the placement rules. The mushroom occupies 1 square and can be placed anywhere on a tile except for the borders. So we'll put that out and we get to pick where it goes. And again, we're going to put that out on the board. So we'll grab a mushroom. And, this is always fun trying to think, well, let's put it right here in the middle. Okay. So now on the other tile, we have 2 to pick. So we're going to grab another one and another mushroom. So now we have 2 mushrooms. And let's see, where are we going to put that? You know what? We're going to put it here. Oops. And again, we can put it anywhere except for a border tile. So we'll put it there. Okay, we got 1 more to go. Let's see what else we have here. And we have tall grass. And it occupies 4 squares, cannot be placed adjacent to another scenic element, and it provides solid cover. So let's get that tile. We're just going to put it right here. Now, it can't be placed next to another scenic element, so it's going to have to go somewhere else. We'll put it over here because it can go on a border. So there we go. All right, so we've got our random element, scenic elements out there. We have our various enemy units out there, and we have our heroes on the board. So now we just have to get that remote and get the bridge down so we can take out those spawn points. So let's get to it. One more thing we're going to do before we start this mission is to draw an event card. Let's see what we have here. That's the back. We're going to flip it. And we have Powered Brood. All troop rank enemies gain +1 health. That is not good. So we will put that out on the board right by our troops here. So we have to remember that they have an extra health. So that's not good, because even the suicide kid who's 1 health and no armor is now going to be a little bit more buff. That's going to be difficult to take him out. One more thing to point out is the first mission I did, I was able to acquire some resources. When you defeat an enemy, except unless they're tiny, they drop resources. There was also a resource on the board. I was able to acquire 3 of them. So Ahab was able to acquire med kit. So he's going to be able to roll 5 dice and heal similarly to what Alexandra does. But he does it with the resource. Then we had power cells. So we have a purple power cell, which Yukas does not have a piece of equipment that utilizes that. But if we discard it, he can get +1 to his mind or +1 rapidity for that activation. So that can be very helpful. And Ulysses has a red power cell. Same thing, he has no equipment that can utilize it, but if he discards the cell, he can gain 1 rapidity for this activation. So that's a real little added bonus there that they have. So here are the loot tokens we'll use for this mission. We have 5 blue and 1 red. So when we defeat an enemy, even a tiny enemy, they're going to drop a loot token. And if we get that red one, then we got the remote. Everything's ready to go. We got one more thing to do. We got to set up our momentum track. So first of all, we start off on 3.8. So that's the 3rd cycle, which would be the inner dial there. We have that on 3. And then we're starting on phase 8. So we point the outer dial there, the phase dial on phase 8. So we're ready to go at 3.8. And remember, the mission ends at 6.8. And then we have an alert at 5.4. And that's when we do the enemy spawn. So hopefully we can clear out the enemies on the board first before that happens. Okay, so let's set up the dial. First on phase 8, we have the troop units, and that's going to be our suicide kid or kid and our frag spriggan. On phase 9, we have the elite troops, and we have the Mauer and the hunter. And that's the Mauer Reaper. And then we have a hero. So I'm going to go ahead and put Ahab right away on there to start with. Phase 10, we have 2 heroes. I'm going to put Alexandra, and we'll put Ulysses. And then on phase 11, we'll have Jukas going last. So we've got the momentum track set up, heroes on the board, enemies on the board, resources, or terrain elements on the board. We got everything on the board, so we're ready to go. The first people to activate are going to be our troops, and we'll go ahead. Both troops have the same rapidity of 4, so we'll go ahead and we'll just start with the suicide kid. So as you can see, suicide kids have 4 rapidity, a control area of 7, 0 defense, 1 mind, and 1 health. And in this particular case, they're going to have 2 health because of the event card. They have an exploding fist, which is what they're going to try to attack us with. It's 3 action points, range 1, damages with 3 mind. It stuns, and then he has suicidal tendencies. Suicidal tendencies is if he hits and does at least 1 damage to his target, he basically blows up. He has dodge, meaning we have to re-roll a success, and immunity to the shield symbol. So if we get any die or success with a shield on it, it gets negated. And then self-control. At the beginning of his activation, if his token is on the red sector, the model ignores suicidal tendencies, and he's not on that sector to start. He also has Horde 2, which has to do with spawning, Runner, and Climb. And Runner is going to apply right now. Runner allows him to move 2 squares for every 1 AP he spends. But they're so close, it's not going to really matter. So, it looks like, unfortunately, Alexandra is going to be our closest unit. And they're going to go after the closest unit. Nobody has a threat yet of value of anything. So we'll go ahead and start. We'll go with this one first. So he'll go 1, 2. Now, you can see he was what you would think would be adjacent. A diagonal is not adjacent. You have to be orthogonally next to a unit to be considered adjacent. When you do your range, you count orthogonally. You don't use diagonals to count range either. Now you can shoot somebody that's, 4 spaces away and check your line of sight diagonally, but otherwise it's always orthogonally. So he has engaged with Alexandra, and as soon as he does that, we will put an engaged token onto Alexandra because she is engaged. So we're going to put that right there on her card. Oops, that's the wrong one. Here it is. Actually, I've got one accidentally on Ulysses, who's not engaged with anybody. So this is a token. When an enemy attacks you, he automatically becomes engaged. They can also, if they move up into an adjacent spot to you, they can spend 1 action point to become engaged. So if they don't have enough to attack, but they're close enough to become engaged, they will spend that action point to engage you, meaning that if you try to move away, you have to use a disengage action, and they'll be able to make a free attack on you when you move away. Okay, so again, the Suicide Kid only used 1 AP to move those 2, so he has 3 left, which allows him to use his Exploding Fist. Alexandra, now again, when they attack, you're just rolling your defense against their attack. They're pretty much always basically hitting unless you can defend against it. So she has 2 physical. This is a physical attack, and she has armor that gives her +2 to physical attacks, her medic suit. So she gets 4 dice, and she needs to get brains or minds. And let's see what happens here. Well, she got 2. She got 2 minds, which is a good thing. That's going to prevent some of the damage. No shields were there, but I do have to re-roll. Well, dodge is for when we attack him. So, yeah, it looks like she's going to take 1 damage. But he's going to blow up because of his suicidal tendencies. So let's put that on there. And he is removed. So we'll do the next Suicidal Kid. Same thing. He's going to go 1, 2. That's 1 AP because he's a runner. And he will attack. She's got the same defense against him. And this time she got 2 minds as well. 1, 2. Okay, so she got 2 successes, 2 minds. So again, blocks 2 of the 3 damage. She's going to take 1 more damage, but that Suicide Kid's going to blow up and he's no longer with us. So the Suicide Kids are completely gone now. So we'll flip that over. Now we have the regular kid will go. Now he's on the far side over there. And let's go ahead. Well, he's just going to move straight forward. He's a runner as well. So it's 1 AP to move there. He's going to attack Ulysses. He has, let's take a look at his card. Now he has 4 rapidity, 7 control area, 0 defense, 1 mind, 2 health, now 3 because of the event card. He has what they call Hot Hug. It's physical attack for 3 AP, range 1, and it damages on the explosion symbol, and it sets you on fire, which is great. Again, he has dodge and immunity to the shield symbol, runner, horde 2, and climb. So he's going to attack, and the fire will only activate if he actually does a damage. Those special stun, fire, things like that, poison, bleed. If they don't damage you, the special effect will not kick in. So Ulysses has a 4 physical defense, and he gets +1 from his turtle armor. So he's going to roll 5, and looking for an explosion symbol. Now there's a lot of dice we're rolling, so hopefully we'll get lucky here. And we did. We got the 1 explosion symbol right there. So that's going to be enough to stop the damage. So that did not hurt him. That's going to be it for the kid. And then the last troop we have is the frag spriggan. Now the frag spriggan is a shooter. So like the kids, he has horde 2 and climb, but he's a shooter, which means he's going to try to stay at within range of his enemy, which is 2 to 5 with his bullet storm, but and remain in that distance. He's not going to actually try to get close and get into a close combat. Again, his weapon is range 2 to 5, so he has to be at least 2 away just to be able to use it. So there we go. We got 4 rapidity, 6 control area, 0 defense, 1 mind, and 2 health, 3 because of the event card. So with Bullet Storm, it's 2 AP. So since he's not moving, he can actually make 2 attacks, 4 AP, and range 2 to 5 damage again on explosions. It malfunctions if during my defense test I get a bullet and an explosion. All adjacent models to the frag spriggan would suffer 1 wound. And then if he's in the blue sectors at the start of his turn, then that negates it's called anti-blast. It negates the malfunction. But he is not starting there, so that would happen, but there's nobody adjacent to him. So he's going to go ahead and make an attack. He's going to shoot Ulysses. He's right there in front of him and within range. So this would be 2 AP for this first attack. Again, Ulysses has 4 base physical defense, and then he gets 2 for his turtle armor. So here we go. And yeah, there's nothing there. Oh, there it is. We got an explosion right there. So he stopped the damage with that attack, but he gets to do it again. Another 2 AP for the frag spriggan. Here we go. Get that in the tray. And this time he didn't stop. So this time he will take a damage. So 1 damage, and the frag spriggan is done. So that's all our troops. So now that we're done with the troops, we're going to go ahead and advance them on the momentum track. Now that's the difference with enemies and with heroes. Enemies don't move their tokens until after they're done with all their activations, whatever they're going to do. Heroes, every time they do something and spend AP, they move on the momentum track. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have 4 rapidity, meaning they move 4 on the track. And they'll always move the maximum rapidity during their activation, whether they don't spend it all or not. They always move their maximum. Now, one reason why the heroes move as they do activations and spend AP is something called reaction. And reaction is kind of like a built-in enemy overwatch. So when an enemy, a little quick example, because I'm not using this it's a alternate rule. You can add it if you want. It makes it a little more deadly. Well, maybe a lot more deadly. I've used it once and it's tough. But for example, if let's say Yukos was going to go and I move, so I go 1, 2. I spent 2 AP. I crossed the phase containing 2 enemies. So any enemy that you cross, you would check to see if you're within their control area, which again, the frag spriggan in this particular case and the 1 kid, both of them have a 7 and a 6 control area. So we're definitely within that area. So if I'm within their control area and I cross them on the phase, then they would get to make an attack and a reaction attack. And then once they make that attack, the enemy would get a token on it, which represents that they've activated. So when it comes to their actual turn, when we rotate the momentum dial onto that phase, then they've already activated. They wouldn't get to go again. Then you'd take their token and if it, and move it all the way to the end of their 4 activation on the momentum track. So it's just it's again like an enemy overwatch, and it definitely makes it tough. But put this back. But that's something I'm not going to be doing in this game, in this particular mission. It's a great rule. I like it. I like the idea, but it makes it more dynamic. Things are happening all the time, a little bit more that way. but it definitely makes it a little more deadly. So I'm going to pass on that for this particular mission. Okay, so now we got to move the dial, and we've got it over here to phase 9, which activates our Hunter, our Mauer Reaper, and Ahab. Ahab and the Mauer Reaper both have a 6. So in particular cases where rapidity ties, the enemy always gets to go first. So the Reaper Mauer is going to go first. And he has a rapidity again of 6, control area 5, 0 defense, 1 mind, and 5 health. Again, he's an elite based on that icon there, but he's an elite, so he is not going to be affected by the event card, so his health stays at a 5. He has a weapon called the Tornado. It's a ranged attack, 3 AP, range 1 to 4, damages on 2 bullets, and then it causes a nail down effect, which we'll talk about if it happens. And then the Tornado hits all heroes within range and in line of sight. So that's not good. And then he also has an ability called Hit and Run, and Mauer can spend 6 AP to move up to 4 squares and attack. This is possible only if the Mauer can attack. So it's similar to kind of Ahab's charge. But it allows him, he spends all his AP, but it allows him to possibly get an attack in. So we're going to go ahead and see what the Mauer Reaper can do. Right now, the mushroom right here it's a light obstruction. It's impassable, meaning it blocks line of sight and you can't go through that square. So he right now would have no line of sight to anybody because his line of sight goes through the square. So we're going to have him move. And he's going to move. He's also a shooter or a predator. Actually, no, the Mauer Reaper is not a shooter. So he will move. Let's see. 1. If he moves 1, we actually do have line of sight. Now, your own figures, your own units, so do not block line of sight to other units. So if the hunter, let's say this hunter is standing in front of him, that would not block line of sight. But other enemy units do. So Ahab blocks line of sight to Ulysses and Eucus, so does Alexandra. So right now he's only going to have line of sight on 2. He's not going to be able to get in a spot and attack to be able to do more than that. But I think he can just move the 1, because if you see the little where the line stops there, which represents the center of the square, and if I go from that center, I can get there and I can get to Ahab without crossing any part of that. He'll be able to attack both of them. So they're both going to have to make defense rolls. And again, he spent 1 AP to move. Unfortunately, he could have actually made that ranged attack twice, but he's not going to do that. So he's going to be able to do 3. Yeah, moving 3 would not give him any more of a benefit. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to roll his attack or defenses. So we'll start with Ahab. Again, 3 physical and 2 for his Myrmidon armor. So we're going to roll his defense. And we need 2 bullets to stop it. And we got 2 bullets right there. So no damage from that tornado attack. And now we'll move on over to Alexandra. And same thing, she has a 2 physical and 2 from her medic suit. So she rolls 4, looking for the bullets. She only got 1 bullet. So she's going to stop one of those damages. So she's got to take a damage. And unfortunately, she's already got, remove that engaged, she's no longer engaged, 3 damage now. And actually, I forgot to put on Ulysses, he is engaged by that 1 kid. So he would have that engaged token on there. So that's the Mauer Reaper's attack. Next would be the Hunter. Hunter is a predator. He basically just focuses on attacking enemies. He goes at them if there's mission threat value things, and which would make him guard something until the threat value got higher, that kind of stuff. He focuses just on going after the enemies. He's a hunter, so it's all in his name. So he has 5 rapidity, so we'll look real quick at his card. So 5 rapidity, 3 control area. He actually has the shield, so he has 1 defense or armor, 0 mind, and 4 health. And again, he's an elite, so he does not get the bonus from the event card. He has a ritual lance. The cool thing about this, well, again, 3 AP, range 1. Damages can do up to 3 damage with 2 fists and blood, but it has reach 2. So he can actually attack from 2 squares away. And bleed. So it causes bleed if it hits. Healing at the beginning of the activation in his activation token is in the green, which it is. This model heals 1 wound, but he's not injured. And then he has hunting shells. So again, he has immunity when he's attacked. If you attack, or when he attacks, if you roll the blast symbol, then it doesn't apply. Okay, one thing I forgot to do is put the loot tokens out there when the enemies. I'm not used to tiny enemies dropping loot, and in this particular mission they do. So I've got the 6, I put them in the bag, but I took them out because actually I'm going to put them out there, and it's not until I interact with them that we know what they are. So they all have the blue side up, and we're going to put those onto the, grab 2 here, there, and we'll put 1 there. So those are the 2 loot tokens, and one of those on the other side has a red token, so hopefully we'll interact with it, flip it, and we'll discover the remote. Okay, so we got that taken care of. And we were getting ready to start with the hunter. Now the hunter he can attack with range 2 with reach. Now you, again, like I said, you measure using orthogonal distances. So it would be easy just to go 1, 2, he's 2 away. Well, he's actually not. He's 1, 2, 3, or it'd be here 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got to get closer to make that attack. But what he can do, he could go 1, 2, and now you can see he's 1, 2 away, meaning basically he can attack diagonally for melee. So it gives him that little extra range around a figure to attack. So because of his reach, he is only moved 2. He had to use 2 AP. He could have also, for example, gone 1, 2 and then been 1, 2 away. But I'm going to have him go there. And he's got, again, reach 2. He's looking for 2 fists and blood. So for defense. So Yukis he's got 3 physical, and he gets 1 from his Vachuous chest. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but from his armor. So here we go. Let's see what we get. And again, we need 2 fists and blood. We got the 2 fists, but we didn't get the blood. So he is going to take a damage, and that does cause bleeding. And Yukis' armor has a neat thing. He's immune to stun, but not bleeding. Our good buddy Ahab, he has the ability to, his armor prevents it. So what bleeding is, you put a bleed token on the model, and they receive 1 wound at the end of their activation. Then you discard the token. So at the end of Yukis' activation, he's going to take a wound. All right. So he spent 2 AP to move, 3 AP to attack. That's all 5. All our elites are done, so we're going to move them on the track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Mauer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for our hunter. Okay, so now we're going to do Ahab. And actually, I made a mistake. Ahab should have went first. He had a rapidity of 6. Hunter only had a 5. So although based on what Ahab's going to do, it wouldn't have really affected what the hunter did. So mistake, but it shouldn't affect anything on the board. I'm going to go ahead kind of want to see what that, well, we'll do this. I'm going to go ahead and use my med kit first. Okay, so I'm, during the first mission, I don't know if I explained this yet, but we acquired some resources. And one of which was Ahab got a med kit. So a med kit basically is the same as what Alexandra does. I get to roll 5 dice, I spend 1 AP, and any blood symbols I can heal. And I can also spend an AP to remove a status token from a targeted hero. So I could use that to get rid of bleed or stunned or something like that. But I'm going to use it to heal her. She's got 3 wounds already, and he's adjacent to her. So he's going to spend 1 AP, so we got to move him right now. So he moves 1 AP. And then we get to roll 5 dice. And looking for blood. Well, we got 1. And he has no way to re-roll or anything like that. So, all right. So that gets spent. Unfortunately. So he's been used, that's discarded. And she gets 1 heal. So she'll be up to 2 damage now. And so that was 1 AP. Now he's going to attack. So I'm going to have him, he could charge, but I think you might as well just have him go 1, 2. And he's going to attack. And so he's going to use his Blade Slash, which is 3 AP. So this is going to be a total of 6 AP he's used. So he moved 2. Got to do that on the track here. 1, 2, and then he's going to do his attack for 3. 1, 2, 3. So his Blade Slash is a 3 AP. It's range 1, attack bonus of 2. And he has a physical of 3. So he's going to roll 5 dice. He needs fists. And the Maw Reaper has no immunities or anything like that. So we don't have to worry about getting rid of any dice or anything like that. Okay, so boy, he got 1 fist. So 1 fist, he has no armor or anything like that. So the Maw Reaper will take a damage. So we're going to put that out on the board. Now, whenever you damage a larger enemy, your threat value goes up. So Ahab's threat value is going to go up to a 2. So right now he's the most dangerous enemy on the board. And so that's another way for your enemy AI, what they use to decide who they're going to attack. And they call the Beryllium is the name of your threat dial. Okay, so Ahab is done. We move the dial. And so we're on phase 10. And we have Alexandra and Ulysses. Alexandra has a higher rapidity, so we're going to start with her. She has a ranged attack. And again, I don't have to worry about line of sight because with Yukis in the way, I could attack that hunter. Now, one thing she also has, and I want to point this out, is her built-in ability there. If you see, it says, Alexandra can perform the actions collect and interact without spending the required action points. And she actually has 6 hand equipment slots. So she can actually interact with those 2 resource tokens out there, loot tokens, without having to spend any action points or anything to do it. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and she's going to pick up both of those, or we're going to see what we have. So we'll do this one first. And it's blue. So this one's just going to give her a regular resource. So we'll grab our resource cards. And just did shuffle him, but we'll give him one more little, whoops, shuffle here. And we'll see what we get. So we get a green energy cell. And actually that's great, because if you look on her drone healer card, she has slotted in there a green energy cell. And if you look on the back of the card, if she uses that, she can add 2 dice when the drone uses biosystems regeneration during this activation. So she gets to basically roll 5 dice, similar to her new ability. So she's got a lot of healing power right now. And then she's going to pick this one up for free again, and it's blue as well. So we get another resource card, and she has a blue energy cell. And this one basically will give her +1 to her precision, which is good because she does ranged attacks, and we might use that right now. So she hasn't spent any AP yet. That was all free based on her Circulia, her multi-hands. So I think I'm just going to leave her where she's at, because that way she can do 2 attacks. She could still move 1 in actuality, but then that would put her in range of the hunter with reach. So I'm going to keep her there, and I'm going to have her, she could also, yeah, we're going to go ahead and shoot the hunter, I think. One thing that's interesting is the blast symbol. If you see here, there's one with the fist, and I thought there was a die. Actually, maybe not. So she probably has a better chance doing the ranged against the hunter, because he does have that immunity with the blast. All right, so yeah, we're going to go ahead and do the her multi-gun, her double gun. It's 3 AP, so she'll only be able to do 1 attack, but we'll go ahead and do that. It's got an ATB of 1. She's be a precision of 3. I'm going to go ahead and discard this blue energy cell right away to give her 1 more. So now she's going to be able to do 5 dice, and we're looking for bullets, and then she gets to re-roll if she rolls any kind of mine dice. So let's see what we get here. So she got 1 bullet, and she got 2 mine dice, so she gets to re-roll those. And another mine. I wish we were looking for push symbols. And boy, that would have been good if we were looking for push. Look at that, 4. But she did get 1, but he has a shield, so it's going to block it. So she didn't do any damage. So she's got 2 AP left. I think she's going to go ahead and try to heal you, because he's got a wound. And I've got the 2 AP. I might as well use it. So she's going to go ahead and do that. She's going to do, actually, because of her medic, she can roll 5 dice. So she's going to roll 5 dice, and she's looking for blood. And we got 1 blood again. So he's going to heal that. Does not get rid of the condition, but the bleed, but it does get rid of the wound. Okay. So, oops, and I should have been moving her on the momentum track when she did the 1, 2, 3, and then the medic. So she's here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have Ulysses, and Ulysses is going to go. He's going to stay where he is, and I think he's just going to go ahead and do his built-in physical attack that he has to start with, which is called a Cyclopic Punch. It's 2 AP. Range 1, attack bonus 2, and it damages on fists, and it pushes if it hits. That's his innate skill. I don't think I talked about that. Each character has an innate skill on their hero pad, and they start the game with that skill. You don't spend any experience points to get that. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's 2 AP. We'll move him to 1, 2. And he'll make that attack on the kid. Now the kid has immunity to the shield, and he has dodge, which means I have to reroll one success. So they're kind of hard to hit. They're little dudes jumping around. So let's see what we can do here. And I would roll, he's got a 4 physical and an attack bonus of 2. So he's rolling 6 dice. See if we can get lucky here. So there's a fist with no shield. And that's it. We just got one. Oh, he does have another ability. And this is something I was going to do and I forgot to mention it. It's his helmet, his War Machine armor. He has a helmet, and it allows him to spend AP or focus without spending AP. And what focus is, before you roll the dice, if you focus, you have to spend 1 AP to do it. And it allows you to take a die. When you make your roll, you can take 1 die, keeping the face as it is, whatever you got. For example, let's say this, this here. I can keep that. I put it on whatever I use to attack, and then I can use it for a follow-up attack. Now, it has to be used with that weapon, and it doesn't have to be actually the next attack. It can be any attack in the future until you want to use it. And I was thinking about doing that, but actually I'm not, because it has to be applied to the weapon I used, and I would want to keep a bullet to maybe put to attack the frag spriggan with a ranged attack, but I'm not going to do that. So I got 1 fist, as you can see. I have to re-roll it because of dodge, and I got another fist. So that's going to be 1 damage. Now, unfortunately, the frag spriggan actually have 3 health because of the event card. So we're going to put a token there. Now they're tiny, so when you damage them, it doesn't give you any kind of a threat value or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same attack again because it's only 2 AP. So we're going to move him to 1, 2. Roll our dice. Come on, fists. And I only see 1. Boy, the more dice I roll, the worse I get. So I got to re-roll it for dodge. And so it was a total miss. I mean, he's a tiny little guy dodging around. Makes sense. So Ulysses is done. Ulysses done, and we'll move the momentum dial here. Phase 11. And we are now on Yukas's turn. And he can do, I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start right off doing his energy lash. It's 3 AP. He's got 5 rapidity. And what the heck, let's just go ahead and do it on that hunter and see what happens. So again, we'll go back to take a look at the ability. I have to test my mind, and I need to get mind and push symbols. Attack range is 1 to 4. It damages. If I hit, it's 3 damage. But I got to take 2 Oblivion cards, and I'll show you those in a sec. Or tokens. So he's going to attack the hunter. The hunter's within range. He has line of sight and all that. So his mind is 4. And so he's going to roll 4 dice. And I need to get and see if he's got anything that... Oh, the one thing is during his token phase, which we'd be doing first, if his helmet does not have a reroll token, he can put a reroll token on there. So let's do that. And then his other ability is, his built-in ability, it's called Premonition. And what that is, in the token phase, all other heroes within 3 squares of him gain a reroll token if they have none. So, almost should have put him first. So let's see, the only one that's not going to get one would be Ahab, but the other 2 heroes will get reroll tokens. So let's get 2 of those. And Ulysses gets 1, and Alexander gets 1. So that's great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and he's going to make the mind test. So again, I need a mind, and I need a push. Whoa. And we got plenty. We got 3 minds and 3 pushes. So we succeed. So that's going to be 3 damage to the hunter, and it's mine damage, and the hunter has no mine defense. So that's 3 straight damage to him. So we're going to put that on him, and he's got 1 left, and he also, because he damaged him, he is going to take a threat. So he's now threat 2. So he only has 2 AP left. He's not going to move. Doesn't really have any other kind of attack he can do or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop there. I forgot to move him. 1, 2, 3 again. You should always move him when you actually activate. He passed an enemy, so he doesn't have to spend any more AP. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. He has to take, because he hit and he used that ability, as soon as he activates that ability, he has to take 2 Oblivion tokens. Okay, so these tokens here stay with him. And actually, when his activation ends, he's going to discard the bleed token, and he's going to take a wound from that. So he's got the wound back. But the Oblivion tokens, the way those work is you have to perform a mind test at the beginning of their activation, and I have to get push symbols equal to the amount or greater than the Oblivion token's own. So when I begin to activate again, I have to do that. And if I successfully do that, then nothing happens. If I fail, I have to draw, I discard the tokens, but I have to draw an Oblivion card. And the Oblivion cards can be extremely dangerous, and or not just to me, but to people around. For example, let's take a look at one, and I'll reshuffle these. So this is what the Oblivion cards look like. So let's see what this is. If this happened, it would be a psionic backlash. All other models within 5 squares of the psionic are stunned. So that'd be everybody pretty much on the board right now if that happened. So it can be really bad. So you really want to, we'll shuffle those back up. You really want to make sure you eliminate those. All right, so Yukos is done. He's got his Oblivion tokens and everything. He's not going to move that. We took his bleed damage, so we're going to go ahead, move to the next phase. We're at phase 12, and we're going to go ahead and stop there for this playthrough. We'll start up again real soon, finish this off with the troops getting ready to go.